we are super fortunate and blessed today to have, three amazing artist athletes join us to kind of spit their knowledge, their wisdom, their experience on things that they've gained and learned from being in the industry, from perfecting and honing their craft to us as, fitness, movement, health professionals trying to make an impact for our community. How do we continue to build a strong, healthy dance community, especially, during this time? So, yeah, I would just kind of like our guest speakers to, give a little brief introduction. You could go into your past, maybe say what you're up to nowadays during this quarantine period as well. Um, and yeah, let's start with Logan.
Yay.
Hello. My name's Logan. I am known by logistics. And yeah, I am 17 years old. I'm from San Diego, currently in Florida. I've been dancing for almost 9 years, mainly breaking and choreography, being involved in the breaking community, battle scene, the choreography scene, and also the dance industry. Um, yeah, I guess brief. I started at Culture Shock San Diego, and that's where I learned my hip hop roots. Hey, Harari. um, and yeah, I was able to really build a solid foundation in hip hop, not only in like as a B girl, but also like knowing the history and the roots and staying connected to that. And also as an athlete, I feel like I've really developed a mentality of treating this as like two things, an art and also a sport. So taking it seriously athletically while also making sure to stay creative and maintain the artistic side of things. Now in quarantine, I've learned so much. I was already homeschooled as a kid, so I already learned how to just be a little more self-disciplined in working by myself, but this time is like no other, and it is very challenging. So I've been able to train in many different ways and also branch out and kind of like expand artistically and as a person. And yeah, just focus on a lot of things I wouldn't normally would, and it's all contributed back to my craft. So yeah, it's like a brief intro.
Dope. Thank you so much, Logan. All right. And then we're going to pass it on to Fang. If you bless the mic.
Yo. Um, I've been dancing for more than 15 years, probably. I started in 2001, so whatever the year count on that is. That's 19. That's easy math. I'm bad. That's 19 years. I kind of moved into a lot of different circles in my dance journey. I started out really in a bubble not only in the Southern California dance community, but an even smaller circle of like the collegiate competing community, which was a lot smaller back then. So this was like, if you know it, like fusion, bust a groove, vibe, like that lane of competition. So it was very treated like a after school program or team sport. It was treated that way. So that's how I started. And then from there, I moved on to more professional teams like Boogie Zone Breed and Chill Factor, which kind of opened my world up to um, a little more street dance, a little more LA industry dance. It was Boogie Zone's goal to kind of bridge the two, which, kind of happened or not. And then from there, I went into Quest Crew. And from there, we went into sort of the competition LA industry work where it was a TV competition. And then we did works on sets like movies, and we did world tours with music artists and music videos and commercial and all of that stuff. I did that for about a solid 8 years, where I was started out as like a dancer creator with Quest, and then I started doing stage direction and creative direction for artists, like that trajectory. And then the last 5 years, I kind of stepped out of that and I went the other way, and I started going back to like the parking lot sessions to like kind of find find something in myself, because I lost it for I quit dance for like a year. And then I kind of found my way back slowly through things like open house, um, random club battles with like Jet Li, and things like that. That's kind of was just fun for me. And so for the last 5 years or so, I kind of been more on that lane of like finding freestyling as a way to like fuel my passion for dance. I thought I was freestyling before, then I learned that I really wasn't until very recently. That oh, okay. Like I haven't been doing it all these years. I thought I was doing it, but now it's like, yeah. So that's kind of been my journey, my 19 years in a nutshell. And during this quarantine, it's been kind of weird because yeah, I've been trying to stay motivated and trying to do things, but I'm exploring here and there with different kinds of training and different things with health, and like where am I going, for the next 10 years or so. Um, but the really only thing that's been building up is like my Amazon cart. Like it's lit. Like it's full of stuff that I'm not gonna buy ever. But I just want to look at it like every day. Like right now, I'm wearing this mic set. I'm already looking at wireless ones because upgrade. But I'm probably never gonna buy it. But like the only thing that's been lit in my life right now is my Amazon cart. It's popping. So, dang.
I love that. Appreciate the honesty, Fang.
Yeah, man. All right,
I mean,
that's it.
that's a good segue, at least the freestyle part, to our next guest, Frantic. Let's have you hop on.
Damn, that caught me so off guard. All right, respect, Bang. Respect, bro. It's like a saying, "Don't do it," but it's there. It's like just that cheese, like smelling a pizza but then eating broccoli. um, man, I've been just a little bit about myself. Ricardo Rodriguez Jr., aka Boogie Frantic. Um, I first started off with the name Frantic. Eventually, a lot of inspirations and influences has helped me through it. Adding Boogie to my name, starting 2000 and on. I first picked up popping, like the style dance popping, in '91. But I've been freestyle dancing since as early as 2 years old. Just basically the music videos back then in the '80s were very live, very just in your face, and dancing was just all over the place, from Living Color to, Arsenio Hall to Def Comedy Jam. Like there was just so much dance that was also influenced, and I would just keep an eye out for being able to see like as I grow. Um, so '91, I really just started picking up popping by watching the movie Beat Street. Most people would pick up breaking, or they would pick up popping through, breaking one and two. But Beat Street did it for me. It just reminded me of the nostalgic feeling I had of togetherness with the family. And as it picked up, I ended up developing an even larger family, like through the years of just being able to utilize sort of freestyle dance and hip hop as a culture. So by '98, '99, I was in the verge of graduating high school. I was already kind of, in my own zone. And I kind of fell back and just decided to maybe take a break. It's just a lot of, emotional turmoil going on with everything, and with sports and not being able to do sports. And, dance was really like my gateway to really, maintain like a positive impact. The more I had danced, the more I just felt I could get away from a lot of the negativity that surrounded me. So it was a really deep rooted connection. You know, breaking down all the way to '95, my brother was murdered by gang violence, and it just kind of, that memory of dancing in front of his casket and giving him that honor, made me understand a whole different respect about dance, and how deep rooted and cultural it is to, express a gratitude for somebody you love through an expressional art form. I it's the best way I can really put it. But so I was really trying to maintain this this persona throughout the years in honor of his name. You know, not being able to live past 18, I was finally able to reach 18, and I felt maybe I wasn't like, I don't know, wasn't worthy. So I fell back, I quit once again. But once 2000 started coming in, and there was a lot more events locally in LA, I was able to compete and just be around it. So it was really about the respect. I noticed as I started, going to all these different jams, like B-Boy Summit to Freestyle Session to, the clubs that were around. If you were able, at that time, I wasn't 21, so I wasn't able to hit every single club, but I was trying to do my best to get in there and do the best I can, battling and just making a name for myself. So by 2000 or 2010, it was just a crazy journey with dance. It was really like a love and hate. I was working a 9 to 5 job, trying to maintain, and then freestyle dance was just something that was so deeply rooted. And the people that I was able to, it was crazy, like all the different groups that you live through and the people that come together. So it's a blessing to hear other people's story about, like, starting with the studio or starting with the company, and then having that. It was also very similar, because we kind of created our own groups. We kind of created our own sense of family and session spots and stuff like that, especially here in the San Fernando Valley. So um, yeah, it was just a fight, love and hate. I was, wanting a job, and then I just was like, but dance is just my thing. But I really didn't have anybody to coach me through the industry, or at least to understand. My mind just wasn't on, like, this is a business, and you could actually, make a living off of this. It was really like, this is something I just dreamt about doing, and not realizing that I should have been a lot smarter about the industry and how I approached it. So by 2010, I was fully committed to dance, and I decided it was like my last draw. I think I was able to quit my job and just pursue this full time, and I was able to get my a movie and just dance companies like LXD, and just like the dream was starting to come alive. But again, my mindset wasn't really based on like the industry and being a business. So it was a lot of learning, a lot of learning. 2010, I think, was probably one of my most struggling years as far as being an artist, because I really wanted to have a 401k and have this, security. But then, the other side was like, man, I get to make like 20 grand in 2 weeks. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is a whole different light of opportunity. But I just was trying to seize whatever I possibly could. So that unfortunately led me to a really bad choice in life, and I ended up incarcerated in federal prison. So it was just, you know, looking at things from back then to now. It's like just realizing how dance is the one thing that stuck with me. I trained it every day, regardless of my circumstances, regardless where I was. It was just the one thing people could not take away from me and who I was. So finally coming out in 2012 and just like hitting the scene, especially the underground scene, like full scale. Even the industry at some points, like, I did the Dizzy Feet Foundation, came out and did this whole performance with ballerinas, and it just like just seeing the journey, a Microsoft commercial, just like, jumping from scene to scene. It was just like a whole different thing. Winning B-Boy Summit, winning Freestyle Session. It was just like, yeah, it just kind of came with full force, because I guess the motivation behind, being put away was kind of that push. So the last 10 years have been an awesome like traveling experience. I've been able to travel, I don't know, 17 different countries, and multiple, like at the same time, or revisiting same different countries, and becoming even more family with people outside of the US, and just being able to see the scope of the world with dance, and just how it's impacted like so many people, and still like the understanding is so limited to what it is about living a culture, living a culture that wasn't yours, but you're kind of just learning to adapt to. And and just the dedication we had as artists, being able to make a name for ourselves, just freestyle dancing, you know, and having a high regard of respect for just our integrity. It was just really crazy to have this journey, you know, and it's been now 29 years of just this this culture through and through, and I still feel like there's so much more to learn, so much more to teach. Um, and I feel like with Fang, it was what he was saying about like him diving into the freestyle world of the last 5 years. Mine has been like like the past 10 years. I've been fighting with kind of like the dance world and the industry along with the freestyle and trying to see like how could this work? You know, how could this work for freestyle cats like myself who are so naive and ignorant, you know, in a positive sense, but just like who don't understand what they're walking into, you know what I mean? And how could we make a world where it's easier for them to understand that there's no's and, you know, stand up no's. Like it's not just a no to a job. It's like you have to really put yourself in a position to say like, nah, man, this just ain't worth it, you know, and allow the pie to kind of get bigger for all of us so that we could all eat as opposed to getting like these little
Mhm.
scraps, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, 29 years, man, it's crazy.
Thank you so much for sharing, man. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. And I think it's a very your history and your experience, the way you described it kind of comes back full circle, and just like kind of the panel that we have here is that, you know, there's different like generations of dancers here, and within that, you know, we come and look at it from like, how can we best support you guys, right? And a lot of the things that we've talked about in our past conversations and lectures was that, uh, you know, it's almost like that same analogy. If you have a hammer, everything you see becomes a nail. And a lot of times you work with like movement, fitness, health professionals. Like if you work with a surgeon, they're going to advise surgery. If you work with a PT, they're always going to advise like exercise. If you work with, you know, et cetera, they're going to advise what they think is best. But, you know, as for dancers, you guys are involved in so many aspects of life, in terms of like being an entrepreneur, but also being an athlete. But then you got to work on your mental, your creativity. It like spans so much. So, you know, we're hoping that we can learn and dive a little bit into your guys' world, the struggles that you work through and what you guys have found valuable in your own practices. Because, like, you know, with you, Boogie, it's like you've done this for 29 years. That's longevity. But then, you know, on the other side, we have Logan, like, just she's killing it at a high caliber and isn't plateauing. Like, you're like still going up. Um, then there's something with that, right? Um, and then like Fang, with yourself, man, like just creativity wise, and what you're able to produce and see, like that's experience that it's untouched. Like you have to have reps in the game to do that. So, um, you know, we just want to bring you guys on here to kind of peel the curtain back, so to speak. Um, I know with everyone in the room, because we have a lot of people, if you have questions for our panel today, you can write, you know, to everyone or to Fang specifically, and then you can write your question out, and then I'll go ahead and speak it to them. But it is an open discussion for everyone, and for you three, you know, just feel free to speak your voice and speak your truth.
Wait, what's happening right now?
Q&A. Or you can just speak, Fang. I know you got a lot. We talked a long time the last time you were on here.
I got a question for you guys. How has your mentality kind of shifted over the course of your career towards the importance of taking care of your health, and whether that, and kind of like what brought that about, if there has been a big shift?
repeat that for me one more time?
Yeah, how has your like outlook on taking care of your own health changed over the course of your career? And
Yeah.
what kind of things was it that kind of caused that shift?
Are we going in the same order? Like, it doesn't
I
matter.
mean, yeah, you're
Okay.
already going, Logan. So
Okay.
go for it.
Yeah. So, that's a great question because, I would say for me, well, I went vegan like 4 years ago, and that was actually okay. Me, I never really cared about taking care of my body until I started getting injured and started getting really like my body getting really exhausted. And for me, like I'd say I totally just jumped from vegan to injuries, but I'll start off with I'll go straight to injuries. So 2 years ago, when opportunities were like picking up, there is this like need for staying very consistent and maintaining and staying on top of everything because of the consistent opportunities, whether that's performances, battles, traveling. And I realized how this took a toll on my body, and I was like overworking and being I was very just yeah, I was overworking my body, and also mentally as well, and stressing myself out. And so during this time, I started to uh, like actually get injuries, and I never used to get injuries until this time. And I think this is actually with TJ and Aaron, but I remember like hyperextending my elbow, and I had like problems with my knees, and just sprains and things like this from just simply overworking and not taking care. And after this, this is when I really like sat down with TJ and Aaron and talked about um, like how I can take care of my body, especially because I'm young and I want to maintain, like I want to be able to have longevity and be able to do this for a while. They mentioned how me being plant based is already helping, and um, for me, it was just yeah, I'd say in terms of mentality shift, I wanted to make sure that I could last, and I was like before I was like, "Oh, there's no way, like, I'm you know, as long as I just keep, working out and doing my thing, I'll be fine," but there's more to it. And then I didn't realize that until I started growing, I started getting injuries, I started to feel my energy levels would drop and it would affect me mentally as well, so, yeah, that's when I really, like, started to take care of my body, and, um after that, like the first time where I would get, I think I sprained my elbow and dislocated my knee. After coming back, I bounced back super fast. Um, and then I took it for granted again. And then I started getting knee problems. And so now it's like daily um, just practice of taking care of my body, making sure I'm eating right, making sure I'm getting enough rest, making sure that I'm not overworking, and even like realizing how important it is with everything working together mentally, physically, and emotionally, making sure all of those things are balanced. Um, but yeah, my I'd say definitely within the past 2 or 3 years, my mentality shifted and wanting to take care of my body because I just want to be able to last, and I was just getting injured. But yeah, that's like a short answer.
All right, I guess we're gonna go in order. Um, I wish I can also say that like once I started getting injured, that I decided that the right thing to do was to figure out how to not be injured. I wish that was my answer. I'm a kid of the 90s and I played sports as a kid. So it was very much a put some ice on it, take an Advil, and as soon as you can figure it out, you just jump back in the game. Like that was always my way. Like even when we were and it didn't really happen until Quest where we were trying stunts and all these b-boys and trickers were able to do things. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks easy. And then I've definitely had whiplash from doing backflips. I've dislocated my I don't know the right term for it, but it's my toe basically. Like my toe like did this, and then so I had surgery on my foot. Plenty of elbow problems, neck problems, posture problems, all things TJ have treated me for that I will never learn um, over the last like 10 years. So it was a very like, I just want the pain to go away and then I'm gonna go back to working hard. And that's, been most of my life. And even with not, and that's not just dance, that's just everything. Like, oh, yes, I can stay up 24 hours to do this edit. Sure. Like, that's just how I do everything. And to the question of when did you make that switch to take more different measures, um, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for that to happen. I've definitely have been clued. Like I'm not dumb. Like I've learned about pretentative measure. I understand things you can do, but I think in our culture in America, in this hustle work hard culture, we tend to just treat symptoms and we don't. There's not enough like PR. No one's like making a sexy ad about preventative measures. You know what I mean? Everyone's making sexy ads about like take the medicine or put the ice or treat it, like get the massage after or get the PT, go to the hospital. Like, you know, those are the cool ads that are out there. So I am definitely learning a lot. And it to me, it's gonna be very similar to smoking cigarettes. Like I smoked cigarettes for 7 years. And no amount of science, no amount of lung diagrams, no amount of people coughing, be like like passive aggressive coughing, or people telling me that like, oh, you smell, I don't know, whatever it is that people say. Like no amount of that made me quit. It only quit because I felt my own weakness. You know what I mean? And that's what made me quit smoking. And the quitting smoking process was so hard that the thing that's keeping me from smoking again isn't any of the science. It's that I don't think I can quit again. You know what I mean? So with health and longevity as a dancer, I don't want to make it seem like I'm doing nothing. Okay, like over this year, I've definitely changed my diet. I'm a little more keto based right now. I'm kind of in a vertical diet. If you guys don't know what that is, that's a lot of meat and rice specifically. Like it's like a vertical, and then everything, all the other nutrients, it's a flat, it's like a T, right? So that's kind of the thing I'm on right now because I would needed more food because the keto wasn't really doing it for me right now. So I've done that. I now not stretching. That's kind of the next target. That's like a lifelong battle. It's like me versus stretching. And stretching is like 100 to 1 to me right now, like versus. So that's what I need to work on. But I do understand the need for more preventative work versus symptomatic treatment. So that was a long answer. Sorry.
It's a good answer though. um, wow. So I've had to go through like a lot of different changes. I remember when I stopped dancing, like maybe 99 to 2000. I was partying heavy. Like it wasn't like my background isn't like stretching or um, your body can do this if you're in these angles. It was just do like do. So I did everything I possibly can to learn every style that I really enjoyed. So I picked up b-boying, I picked up and it was mainly a lot of footwork and style, that was I was really like attracted to because of the flavor behind it, and that I could dance to the music the same. So a lot of power moves wasn't really my forte, and I just felt like as I went from my teens, like from 16 on, my body really started to change. But I played football, I played sports on the side, I played basketball on the side, so it was very active. And the one thing that I noticed was like I was very OCD about how I did things. So if I wanted to get a plank to a handstand, like I'm gonna work specifically on that, over and over and over, not realizing there was actually proper techniques behind these things. It was just kind of this ignorant way of just doing and learning it as you go, I remember doing two-legged swipes and causing this one crazy pull. Forgot how, I was probably like 16 years old. This one crazy pull on the side of from my hip all the way to my knee. And I just like kind of walked it off and just never realized, but that pain has never gone away ever since, So I've always had these low key injuries that I may have caused myself playing basketball. I sprained my ankles like 20 times each, possibly, and just I'm very aggressive under the rim. So I used to always try to be the one grabbing the rebounds, and I was just always land on somebody's foot, just So it was just all these different injuries and stuff, but it wasn't really like even health wise. Like it wasn't. I never thought about, like, I would read men's health magazines. I remember I had like a whole collage of it, and I would just try to get all this information about exercising, and but it was, I don't even think back then it was really about proper diet. It was diet to get a six pack. It wasn't about diet for preventative measures. You know what I mean? So it's really like just getting in shape and getting stronger. I bought a weight set. I started to lose weight. I gained about 50 pounds, and I dropped back down to 200. So my average weight when I'm in like great shape for dance is 205 to 215. It fluctuates based on how I train and just how I exercise. So it's a lot of weight to carry, So breaking was just really like, all right, I'm gonna kind of step away from trying to be super fast and fly, and stick with popping. With that came, other different injuries. I would sit in a W position and just bend forward, and I could feel my knees kind of pulling and pushing. And there was times where I would have a swelling in my knee, didn't realize where it's coming from, and just, but I would take the time off to heal, make sure I'm okay, and then boom, back to the plan. But it was still never about diet. The diet information and changing really didn't start until, I would say, this decade, when I really started to think about like what I was eating, and just because all this information was everywhere, whether you be vegan or you're on a keto diet or paleo, and I just didn't understand the concept. I was a meat eater. I love to barbecue. I love to grill. So my thing was just eat tri-tip, shut the fuck up. So it's just my my approach to like a diet, right? But I noticed after 2000, when I was released, like my body was just in a whole different shape. I mean, all I did was train. Like every day I trained, and and I could see it. I could actually see it. So it continued that thoroughness, and I realized like, damn, I can actually be stronger. But obviously, when I'm behind walls, I'm not going to sit there and be doing body waves around a bunch of men. So my style was very more aggressive. It was very thorough and very foundational. So everything was based off of just a battle tactic and a battle technique, or a protective technique. So um, as I was strong, like strong. I'm deadlifting half a ton. You know what I'm saying? And just like easy, and my body was able to adapt to this feeling and connection to a lot of the OGs, and I understood now. Them being in and out of jail, where they get this natural strength from. You know what I'm saying? So because you have to train in there, you have to train your brain and your body, and this process is just really smart. But I followed a very simple diet. It was oatmeal, peanut butter, and coffee. And that was really like my protein and pre-workout shake. You know what I'm saying? So that never left me, like being able to have it that simple and that easy. And the fact that I can train every day in a system where I don't have protein workouts, I don't have B vitamins or anything like that. I have just the sun, concrete, weights, and my body. And just simple foods like oatmeal, peanut butter, and stuff. So it was very like, it was really a trip for your body to cleanse itself in a way where, my skin was glowing, and I just was like, it wasn't about, the do's and don'ts. It was just a simple plan. So I always try to remember that. And as hard as it is now, like with all these different options and the fact that, you can get bigger, you know, consuming more protein, or you can get skinnier, staying away from certain foods. Um, the preventative measures really started to kick in was as far as health concerns. I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I pretty much just drank water, teas, coffees, and that's it. You know, like I'm just an avid coffee drinker. Unfortunately, it's a habit I picked up from having a 9 to 5 job. Just like, you know, going to clubs at night, you wake up in the morning, it's like 3 cups, and then, all right, let's go, you know, ready to go to work. So, um, but like these habits I had to really change. And eventually, you know, it helped me out. Like I got out, I was over 30. People were like, yo, he looked like you're in your 20s, you know? So that really kind of made me understand a lot about like what you eat and how it affects your body. Um, but this last 2 years or 3 years, uh, ever since I got into a car accident, I was rear-ended. That's when everything started to kind of slow down for me, and then just I had a fractured clavicle. Didn't even know it for like 8 months, and until I finally got a ultrasound from a doctor in Poland. You know, so I just kept getting this annoying pain. I found out I had 3 bone spurs and 3 of my C vertebrae and my neck last year, and it just like these things just started to kind of, you know, I can't really say it's based off of diet. It's just not proper care. You know what I mean? And that's really the I think the key thing for as far as changes. It's really like trying to put your mind into a place where you think you may know everything, and you really just get sidewinded with something else. Um, that is like a key thing. You know, like it's you just got to be properly aware and listen to your body. And that's the one thing I think I was able to be smart about, is just listening to the body and knowing, you know. But accepting and doing is a whole different situation. You can accept it like, I'm fucked, you know, but doing, that's when you're just like, you know, that's the habit that you want to pick up, is really about listening to your body and doing what's better for you, you know. So lately I gained, I think, 50 pounds over this year, and now I'm just kind of taking out sugar. And I realized I tried vegan for about 8 months. It was cool, but the consistency of like that lifestyle, it's completely life changing. So it's really like, I'm not trying to be a scientist. I just want to be able to be okay. You know what I'm saying? And lately, just by taking out sugars of my body and being smart about what I eat, I realize that it's, you know, I'm getting back to that simple plan again and what worked for me. So
Cool.
we're,
Thank you. Thank you. We
That's awesome.
touched on a lot of things. We got a queue of questions now. One from Harari. With your experiences being on movies, videos, tours, etc., were you always provided with a dance specialist or therapist on site, or was it ever mentioned in the contract or even debatable within it? Thanks, given the
I can go first, because if you've ever been on a dance job, that's just like a laughable thing. We touched on this last time. I don't know if this is like repeat customer or not.
new
But
peeps, new peeps.
New peeps. Okay, so in let's just take like the dance art out of this conversation. In the dance industry, right? On the call sheet or on the like production budget, the dancers, even in a dance movie, are at the bottom of the budget. You're the last priority on the bottom, right? Even in a dance movie, the actor, the main actor, who probably has some dance experience, you know, it varies from movie to movie, but they are the actor. They're not a dancer. They're an actor, right? But all the background dancers, all of them, they're just like a really skilled extra. You know what I mean? Like how a production company will look at it would be like, why do we need 10 when we can do with 5? Why can we do with 5 and we can just do with 3? Because all they see is a final product, and if it works, it works, and it doesn't matter to them how good they are or whatever. So you're treated very, very much like the bottom of a thing. And then if you go into like music, right? Think about this. A Beyonce tour can still happen with no dancers. Especially now, you got LCD screens, you got special effects, you got bands, you got features. Like a 2-hour show can exist with no dancers, right? But it can't survive without um, techs, musicians. They can't survive without stylists, hair, makeup. But the hair and makeup people are above the line sheet to dancers because everything can still happen without it. So any benefit they give to the dancers is purely out of the goodness of the hearts of the people that do it. Like I've had some really good experiences is because like when I was on the LMFAO tour, they loved us, they valued us, so we got treated well. You know what I mean? And then the tour manager came off the Black Eyed Peas, and she also valued dancers and valued us. So we got treated really well. I mean, we also it was our decision to party for the nights a week and drink 2 Red Bulls a day, but that was like our choice. You know what I mean? Like they gave us every opportunity to be healthy. You know what I mean? For the most part. So to ask if there's like special people looking out for dancers is like that's when before we get to that, there's so many hurdles to do it. I mean, like, okay, if we bring TJ out to like a question to help us, it's our pocket money. We pay for that. You know what I mean? Or, TJ is just a good guy. You know what I mean? It's like one of those. So let's start there. And then so the question was, I don't want to get away from the question too much. Hurry and wait. What can you do? Okay. So in my experience,
We'll just do both questions at one time.
yeah. In my experience of what wait, I'm sorry. Wait, what 2 questions? I'm sorry. Oh, the insurance. Oh yeah. That goes into Jay's. It kind of goes together. So wait, am I doing this wrong? I'm sorry.
So we have Harari's question that was about being on movies and yeah. So you basically answered that. I don't know if
Okay. I can
Boogie
stop.
or Logan wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I can stop.
Oh, I saw it was a question for Frantic and Fang. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, I'll let you guys talk.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll try to make it quick. It was never mentioned in a contract. And the only time, honestly, that you would get like any kind of specialist or like even massage therapist is if the producer wanted it, and like the director, like somebody that was again above the dancers, like they had to request all of that. So there was really no, there was never mentioned in the contract. And if it was debatable, to be honest, like I told you guys my story, like I'm very ignorant to the industry, so I didn't even realize that we could actually request these things. It's crazy. Like some of the things that we just don't understand and our rights when it comes to being a entertainer or a performer or a provider of service.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully, it's like more dancers get educated about these issues and start asking for these and all that. Just to move on for sake of time, IJ's question. A lot of our lifestyle involves hurrying to wait, like waiting for your round in the battle, waiting for your shot in the music video, waiting for your performance time. What are your strategies to prevent going in cold despite these constant pockets of wait time? And in what ways do you wish you were supported by other personnel in order to make this happen?
That's a very great question because it's always like hurry up and wait, whether on set or in a battle. I like to just stay ready the whole day. To be honest, I just if I'm waiting for a round, like for a battle, I just cipher or I'm just stretching. I'm just staying warm. But it's one of those things where like that the battle's always gonna not like it's never gonna be on time. So if I know that like I made it to past prelims or something like that, I'll leave the event and go somewhere and then come back and really just like take my time. And yeah, there have been many moments where I I come back and right when I like step in the door, it's like, oh, logistics go up right now. So it's just like I guess becoming so used to that, I've kind of like trained myself to just be ready at all times, whether I'm cold or fully warmed up and in great condition. It's like you can never I don't know. I don't feel like I've ever like um started filming or done my round where I'm like perfectly warmed up in the perfect state that I want it to be in because it's never predictable and
Hmm.
you never really like they have a schedule, but most of the time they're never on time. So just not relying on that and being okay if you miss it or things like this, just like kind of like knowing the game in a sense. And then to be support the other part was like how can we be best supported? I think for being on set, I really and I've had a mix of both. Referring to the last question of times where I've done jobs where they're not treating us as well versus times where they're on time and they're treating us well and they're kind of like leaving it up to us for what we want to do and how we want to do it. So I would say yeah, to be supported, kind of like allowing giving us time to warm up, not rushing us, because there have been so many times where I've been on set and they need me to go up because it's like the director's in a rush and they don't let me warm up and then I have to go in cold and I just really didn't appreciate those times. And there have been times where they push me too hard and it's like yeah, there have just been moments like this. So kind of like what Fang was saying, having people that you're working with to just having good people to work with who actually like care about the dancers and care about everyone on set. That's really the only thing. That's kind of like one of the biggest reasons why. Sorry, I'm kind of like mixing both questions, but that's kind of one of the biggest reasons why I have been doing less industry work because I've noticed this. But I'm trying to work on, I guess you could say, building up my name so that once I go into these types of work, I have a little bit more leverage, so that us dancers can be just treated better. But yeah, I guess those kind of tie into each other because if we did have people that cared on set, or yeah, if we had people that cared, then we wouldn't have to hurry up and wait, but they would give us time to warm up, and we would be able to start at a certain time where it works, like with our body, and we're not risking injuries or doing it when we're tired or things like this.
Solid. Boogie, Frank, do you guys have any additions?
I talked so much last time, so Boogie can go first.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so okay, so what are your strategies for going cold? Okay, a lot of my strategies are exercise based. Um, just maintaining, a warmthness is simply doing like I've gotten to an extent of like 50 push-ups, straight, just real quick, keeping the body just engaged, or putting on some headphones and basically just freestyling on the side. But when it comes to on camera work, now this is where it gets really like complicated because if you're a face, right, and you got makeup all over you, you're in a wardrobe and you sweat like I sweat, you're basically just destroying your whole entire getup and situation. So it's kind of like those are moments where I realize like I gotta really be, smart about how I maintain. So what I'll do is just I'll still have my headphones, but I'll just kind of stay in a space where I still feel like my body is engaged, and it's maybe more mellow movements. It's more maybe sitting in a stretch a little bit longer and just kind of breathing through it or just keeping my body like twisting and turning. So there's a lot of things behind it. If I do like if I do feel like I need to move a little bit, I won't get to a point where I'm like just freestyling all crazy and getting basically drenched. I'll just kind of make my movements a little bit more subtle, but I'll just maintain it through and through, so that at least when they're saying action and you have to take your headphones on, you can't have anything in your pockets, and you're just literally there for 10 minutes. At least that 10-minute time window, I'm still like in that zone mentally and getting prepared for the camera work. So like there's like a lot of these up and downs when it comes to that. But yeah, I mean, the last job I did was this Frito-Lay commercial with Pac-Man and Emilio, and it was just like probably one of the most supportive jobs I've ever done, you know. And they were able to really like just make sure I was comfortable, everything was fine, and you know they had major control of the situation, which I would wish upon any job in the future. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it was simple. It was really simple movement, just hands, gestures, turns, smiles. Like it was really simple, you know. So that wasn't really a lot of work having to like perform, you know. I got to play imaginary ping pong with Anna Kendrick. Just, you know, had my Forrest Gump motion going on, and just that was it. You know what I'm saying? So it was really like, you know, those are things where as opposed to when you're working with like if we did the LXD commercial like 10 years ago with Microsoft, it was like, oh damn, like, you know, we really had to be warm and prepared for these moments. So I was ciphering on the side and just engaging with other dancers and just exchanging. I remember me and Deuce, he's a crumper. We both had headphones on and we were dancing to our own music, but we were just exchanging. So there's these constant ways where you can find a window, take off your wardrobe and just go the fuck off, you know. And I think you have that right regardless of the situation, even though you're trying to be respectful. It's still like, let me be in my zone so I can perform and give you the best of my ability, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Side note, I remember the AT&T commercial with the Hello Dancers that Frantic was in. On everybody's stories all day was these bad sessions I was hella jealous about. Like, I don't know if you remember Frantic. It was like everybody that was like at Kin Jam was there on this AT&T commercial. You guys were like in a bus, and then like Jet Li was a cop, and like yeah. Anyway, that looked hella fun. They Logan and Frantic have touched so good on like, you know, the freestyle side of things. I'll talk more about the commercial side. On a set, the considerations aren't about the dancers because there's so many moving parts, right? There's like the reason why Logan needed to be up right now, the director wanted her on right now, is probably because they're running behind schedule and every hour is like 5Gs with the equipment and everything. It's like the budgets for these things are like astronomical. So the time crunch is the most important thing, and your health is the least. Like, talk to any PA, and that would be the same. You know what I mean? So, what you can do for yourself, and this is super generalized. If you have something specific, you can ask me on the side. What you can do, what I think you can do yourself, is know what it takes for you to get from 0 to 100. Like, depending on your dance style, what it is, know yourself. I need 10 minutes. I need 10 minutes to be able to go off. Like when we were doing shows, I could get there in 10 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? Depending on like give and take the situation, I can be like laying down to show ready in about 10 minutes. I got to like that crunch, right? So know yourself in that way. 2 is all this preventative stuff is adding insurance to the bank. So it's about how you train. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if you have to do, just simplify, if you have to do a backflip in the show, right? Don't be just doing one backflip every training day. If you can hit 20 backflips, and that one backflip, you could do it cold almost. Like, you gotta know yourself. You gotta know your training. You know what I mean? Like, I would never recommend anyone who just got something to immediately try to do it in a commercial setting, because you have to do like 20 takes. Like, if you got that one air flare barely, like, don't put that out there. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna hurt yourself, because they're gonna ask you to do it. The camera guy didn't get it right. The light guy didn't get it right. The director wasn't looking at the screen. Should we look at a retake? No. He can do it again. You know what I mean? Like, it's gotta be something you can do cold, coming out of bed. Like, those are the things that you can do in your shows, I feel. So know your bodies, know your training. And the third thing to do is like with commercial sets or anything big like that, there are things you can do yourself to control the time. Make friends with your runner. Hey, where we at? Hey, let me see a call sheet for the day. Let me see a shot list for the day. There's a schedule they're trying to keep. They all have it. So you know, after homie's scene, there's 2 more scenes till me. So okay, let me just kind of engage what that's like. Hang out at set, look around. You know what I mean? Be aware of where. Don't just be in your like little trailer or green room area, like on your phone. But you can do things to like know where you are in your day. I mean, that whole thing can go to shit. They can switch everything around. You can be up in 20 minutes. Who knows? But at least like do your best to kind of know where things are happening. Like get all the information you can. Those are like my recommendations.
Well said. Well said. And I think it's a good segue and reminder that, you know, the things that we do, um, you know, the movement, the exercise, all that, like that's not the outcome or the goal of the dancer. Like this is what they have to do. This is what they're preparing for. This is like the reality of the situation dancers are going into. So if you always observe, work, and prepare them for optimal conditions, it's gonna break down when they reach the chaos that is out there, right? So, you know, I think it's important to have these types of conversations and have you guys like truly speak from your experience to everyone. Um, you know, for the sake of time, I see that we've kind of got like two more questions left. I just want to be respectful of our guest speakers' times too. Would you rather get it done and spend like maybe like 25 or 15 to 25 more minutes answering that, or we could also send that out as a questionnaire and have you guys type a written response?
I don't mind. I'm just looking at Amazon on the side, so we're cool.
Yeah, I could stay. I could stay.
All right, we'll get on. So Izzy asked, I would love to hear your thoughts regarding the current shifts happening in and towards the hip hop culture, no longer using terms like urban, pushing for more education of the foundation of art forms. Do you think we're on the right path of honoring the roots of hip hop to teach future gens? And what could we do better as a collective?
I think it's great. I think it's great where we're going because it's more conversation. There's more of a bridge between communities and generations. Hopefully, like growing towards more unity within dance as a whole. I feel like for me, being involved in multiple communities, this has been something that I've been hoping for. Um, and yeah, I think I mean, it's good, but with any type of growth, there's gonna be some conflict, there's gonna be some problems, obviously. And I think communication is very important. And so for me, I've just been having conversations with a lot of people that I know from different generations and different communities because I just want everyone to be on the same page. I feel like that's just important. And yeah, keeping in mind like the intentions because sometimes just me speaking with people in my generation, it can be hard for um, some of the younger cats to understand the importance of maintaining the integrity of this culture and why we should remember people before us. Even me just listening to Frantic's story, it's like 29 years, 9 years, what he's built, and what he's built, and the people in his generation of what they've worked for and they've built is helping my generation and future generations. And I'm trying to like get more of the younger gen to understand this because yeah, we truly wouldn't be able to get these types of opportunities and have these resources without the work that has been done before us. And so I think it's really good where this is going. It makes me very happy, but it's also just like yeah, I hope people just me speaking more about like my generation. I hope we can continue to understand. And I'm currently I'm trying to find a way to like um, to not show, but like while helping maintain the integrity of this culture, I'm trying to find ways to kind of make my generation understand why it's important, while also not making them feel like they're doing anything wrong because I know they're not doing anything wrong. It's just yeah, that's been like the challenge for me recently of like trying to share and spread this amongst my generation because it's like I think it's very easy to get caught in these certain trends, especially for younger people. But yeah, that's been my my thing. So from ways that I integrate different styles in my dance to having conversations with just my homies and my friends to yeah, just these types of things. I've been really working hard to do, and especially in this time where we're like at home and we have a lot of time to do research and like talk to people like FaceTime friends and things like this. I'm just, yeah, that's been like a mission. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Dope. Anybody else want to take a stab at it? We don't have to. We can keep going. It's up to you.
No,
So.
I mean, I'll do it. Before I get into that question, I wanted to address, just from the last question, there were some comments. Theater is a whole other thing. I don't have theater experience, but from what I understand, they have perks that I can only dream about. Like they're like at the top end, like when you're doing, like my friend was doing Wicked, and they have massages and PT every day. But they're also doing like 2 shows a day, 3 days a week, and then upgrade. So their performance schedule is nuts. But they also get a lot of like those perks. So it is nice. Okay, so I actually have a lot of feelings about the ideas of changing the name, what is what should be what, you know what I mean? Like that. And I don't know if I'm the right person to like voice an opinion on it, but what I would say is hip hop in general as an art form is still like elementary school age. Like it's past its infancy for sure, but it's still it's young enough. It's like a little baby hurricane that you still don't know where it's gonna go. And so with every year, with every social economic change from like the 70s to now, um, like the democratization of dance, the global outreach of hip hop, the what dancers and their ability to make money for themselves, like the opportunities afforded to us isn't the same is not nearly the same as it was to the 70s, a little in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like it changes so fast that to try to like, okay, forever is gonna be this, right? I think it's a foolish goal on our part. I think foundation is different. I think the beginnings of the culture, that's already stamped, that you can write that. And I hope that it gets written. I hope that like they can make an agreement on who started what where. And it could be like 2 different places. Like I hope that gets down, because you can't teach something that isn't agreed upon. Then you're just getting fireside stories everywhere, right? So that's something I hope that gets put down on ink. That's what it is. But as far as like, especially in this last year, the social cultural meanings of what we do and then the art of what we do are coming into like conflict, because there's money in it and there's opportunities depending on what you call it, and it means different things to different people. So I like Logan said, like I really think the conversation is good, but I don't know if I'm the person to ask about like what we should call it. Like I don't, because it doesn't affect me personally per se. So I don't have like the right perspective, I feel. You know what I mean? I'm all ears. Like when they decided to change hip hop to urban because the choreography was too commercial and not of the hip hop elements, I'm like, fine. Like if that makes the people that are insulted by it, if this makes them happy, like cool. Like I'm not offended in any way. Okay, so now urban is wrong. We want to go to hip hop. It's just like, sure, but what does that mean? You know what I mean? And then like when I came out of the choreography into more of the freestyle scene, like my style isn't really hip hop. Like I had a conversation with a couple like heads, and they're just like, "Well, you don't really do hip hop." I'm like, "Okay," you know what I mean? I'm like, "Fine." Like I don't care. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't. I don't. My identity isn't tied to hip hop. Like I'm not like hip hop for life. Like that's not me. But I don't know, because it's definitely not anything else. You know what I mean? I'm not. Yeah, it's just not anything else. So it has to be here. And then there's also like, you're a guest of the culture. I'm like, okay, like I don't know what that means. I mean, how is that? How does that different than being in the culture? If you're a guest and you didn't create anything, like I would say in my 20 years, I have made contributions in different ways. to the culture. So what is that like? There's a lot of like conversation that's happening, and I kind of wish. I mean, me and Frantic are in this like freestyle IGDM group thing, and then every month or so there's like a pop off, and you can see everyone give their opinions, right? But there just doesn't ever seem to be an end. Like it doesn't really ever. I don't know, Frantic, you may feel differently, but it's circular. It's the same conversation and it's circular. And I feel like that little microcosm of LA dancers, because we get dancers from everywhere. So that little microcosm is how the world is. Like we have a conversation, we get popped off, we get heat, right? And then we do this thing, we come back around, and then the same conversation. I don't know how to push it forward. That's kind of my take. This is super long, I'm sorry. But yeah, Frantic would probably be better to speak on this than me.
Good job. Good job, bro. But yeah, it's I like the last part. What could we do better as a collective? And you know, it when I got into this, there wasn't semantics, you know. It was very simple. You were either a triple threat, you were just a b-boy, you were a backpacker, you were a writer, you were a grapher, like even though those are like simple semantics, but wasn't about like the overall details. You know what I'm saying? And when it came to adapting to this culture and bringing myself into it, the more I learned about the roots, the more I fell in love with it. You know, and maybe that's just a generation gap that people kind of jumped over that essence of falling in love with the actual culture itself and just kind of made do with whatever people called it and just got so comfortable with people just giving it whatever names that they wanted to give it, which is why like even now to this day I really don't have a defined style of the way I teach, because it's just, to me, it's universal foundation. It's something that helped me become the artist that I am today. And my influence was always the culture, was always hip hop, from the music to the lifestyle to the way you spoke, the way you presented yourself, the image that you carried through and through, and what you really truly lived, So for me, it's like everybody's gonna have their own style, their own persona, their own personality, and who they are. But my job as like a educator or a teacher is to help you understand how it ties into the culture and how you know when adapting to this it can really help you become who you are, and so it's I'm hoping that people like myself, who are, my goal is to do better, is to always do better, and praying that the people that I teach kind of do the same thing, because it wasn't like I come from, what was it, I come from a time where even the people of my own color, now I'm just gonna be straight up, were telling me like this is a black thing, and it was like, all right, so, but I still didn't connect to being a gangster thing, because that, even though that was supposedly a brown thing, it just didn't feel right to me to be able to be so what do you call it, narrow-minded, and not being able to accept other people and accept different races and accept all these, this openness of like of loving music and loving sound and becoming a person, becoming an individual, and being unique and being comfortable with who you are, whether you rock the mohawk or a shaved head. Like it didn't really matter, you know what I'm saying? And it gets to this point now where it's like we're trying to get back to really being thorough about where it came from, but we're forgetting the pioneers that helped influence the structure that it is today. And I think that's where we can do better. We can adapt and say, man, like we can't forget, certain individuals really pulled their cards and really pushed the boundaries of where this just simple as dance goes, lyricism, beat making, the structure of, just having all these things behind the scenes that none of us even really knew existed. You know what I'm saying? from battle rapping to understanding like beatboxing, like where does this play? You know what I mean? Like it just like we're always got to pay homage to pioneers and to the foundation of it, and that's the number one rule. You when it there was no question to that ever when it came to this, like especially being a freestyle um, student. You know, it was like it was never a question. You always honored the foundation and the rules, the OGs, and just like kind of just understood like, yeah, what you're saying is kind of left, you know what I mean, or right, but I understand you. Like it's just you know the communication is there, but it's our jobs as the students underneath to communicate it better. Like Logan was talking about logistics. Like it's just communication is key. It's thoroughness of communication that really just helps understand and letting the biasness go and letting these prejudices and this just way of thinking like demand. Okay, this is not right, and this was just that finger pointing, that Uncle Sam shit. So it's like we got to learn how to get out of that mindset and understand that this is, these are things that we have to kind of just watch and see where it's going. And like you said, it's a full circle. So it's gonna always come back to these points, but you as a person or us as a people to do better, I think it's just really to connect and educate what's happening, and just really be supportive as you possibly can.
I'm sorry, I want to piggyback on Frantic's thing, but I think if that message of like, as long as there's a baseline of history, like common history understanding, if that's the benchmark, then I think it'd be easy to get everybody on board. You know what I mean? I think it'd be easy to be like, well, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? And then from there, like I feel like as a community, what we can do is like not be so quick to judge a style. Like I remember when juking and turfing wasn't considered a style, and now it's like, or crumping, you know what I mean? And now it's like crumping is finally having its time in the light kind of thing. Like I think like a really good parable to that is like, Pharrell and NERD. Like when they were first starting making music out of like school and stuff like that, people were telling them that like, oh, that ain't like black, that ain't hip hop. They're kind of Virginia, right? Same place as Timbaland and Missy. They're like, oh, that's not whatever, right? And then Pharrell and Chad, they were like, you're right, it's not. And then 5 years later, they had a track, their entire top 10 Billboard, they produced. From Britney Spears, Gwen Stefani to like Diddy and Busta. They did everybody. It's like, you're right, it's not hip hop. We do music. And I hope that hip hop becomes bigger than what hip hop is. It becomes that. And I think it can, what I mean? It's so global. So I think of like what Francis said, there's a bench line of like, just know where the stuff comes from. And then we can have a conversation about who you are. I think that's cool.
Facts. Thank you. All right, one last question comes from Kaz. As influential dancers, how would you like to be approached to self-investment, meaning like investing in your own health, like athletic training, prehab, eating right, without brushing off the person bringing it up? As an observer in public, I see people who can use education, but as a physical therapist, we don't go up to people and say, you look like you need physical therapy. We pretty much wait till people come to us. So I guess he's kind of asking for like the practical knowledge from you guys, right? Like how do we bridge that communication gap in terms of
Low key, most dancers would be like, you're right, I do need physical therapy, but I can't afford it. So that might work.
I know
Yeah, that's
our
kinda
organizations try to combat the financial portion of it, but yeah, I get it. Go ahead, Boogie. Sorry, man.
honestly, like if it wasn't for having a personal trainer realign my whole entire body, I would have had no clue like why my hips are so tight, or why my posture is the way it is. Like I would have no idea. So I'm gonna try to like clear my mind and really picture somebody walking up to me and saying like, hey man, I think you could really I feel like it would be obviously not right after a round. Like you don't want to approach anybody right after a round because our zone is in the zone of just like our what is it, expression, right? And the way we just like want to master the specific techniques. But it would always have to, I think the best way to approach is with a question, like a question that really defines something that makes the person think about, oh wait, you're right. Like I do kind of have this like I can't hit the chair freeze on my right as easy as I do my left, you know. And if you point out like like not necessarily a weakness, but I think a strength, like yo, I notice your left is way stronger than your right. Like it would kind of be a better approach to somebody in that essence. And I feel like even me, like being that I do certain, you know, b-boy influence moves in my style, it's like if you could just stretch a specific certain way, like would you think you could hit that better? You know, and it's like, yeah, of course I would. Like boom, and then that kind of opens the conversation. But yeah, I mean that's the easiest and simplest way I could say it is approach without like overthinking it, you know.
Very true. Very true. Thank you for sharing. I think
Uh,
that what's up?
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that is very, very true in terms of like even the things that we've experienced when we go out um, and work at jams and we try and get other healthcare providers out there, and we do notice that they are uncomfortable in the scene, in the environment. And it's interesting because it's like part of it is just like, what if they're people, like dancers are people, and they want to get better, and they want to be able to hit their moves and be able to freely express themselves in the best way that they can out there. So I appreciate you just putting that so simply.
Oh yeah,
um,
we don't want to get called out and be like, yo, your W is whack. You know what I mean? Like that's battle language. Like, what's up, fool? Like, you know, but it's just like that's what I mean. Like, you know, point out a strength, become my friend. Boom. It's simple because obviously, if you've been to a jam, I saw Audrey at a jam, and it was like, even though they're there, it's not really something people are so used to accepting. So it's kind of you kind of have to kind of weed your way into the scene. You know what I mean? And kind of educate people on who you are, so that we understand like, oh, they are here to help. You know what I mean? And then boom. But be careful, caution, because you'll get about 30 people at once coming at you.
oh yeah, freestyle session was crazy. All right. I guess I'll just leave it up to you guys if you have any final words to the group before we wrap things up.
Thanks.
Nada. Thank you guys for being the celebrities today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys. Thank everybody. Yeah, thank everybody for listening in and hearing us, you know, spit out our mouths.
Wear a mask. Wear a mask when you come to these things now. Awesome. Well, I'll be sure if you guys want to drop in your social media handles, things you want to bring attention to the group, projects, things that you'd like their support, like drop it in the comments or send me a message and I can put it into our group chat. We also want to be able to support you guys as artists and creatives too. So anything that you're working on or things you want us to like share and help, like, please let us know.
I actually had a question for you guys, if that's okay.
Go for it.
So I know that the first time I had seen like an event where people were actually there to like help, as far as like the dancers being in good condition was Arena.
Mm-hmm.
The recent one, and it was like, I thought that was just really cool to see because it was the first time I felt dancers were really being looked after at an event, like especially because like it's a dance event and I feel like the dancers are like the main part. So and then I've seen you guys at like, was it freestyle session or was it
Yeah,
like
we were at
another jam?
freestyle. We've done culture for
Yeah.
freestyle. Um, Yeah, I think those were probably. I think we probably saw you again at freestyle with UGF.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to ask if this was something you guys were continuing to do at more events, and kind of like how you see how you can see yourself continuing to help, even though well, during these times or after when we are able to have events again, because I just felt that was super, it was really good. Um, yeah, it was really, really good for the scene. And yeah, I just wanted to ask. I'm just
Oh, thank you, Logan.
curious.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. TJ is furiously working away, and so is Audrey, at establishing some more collaborations and connections, whether it's virtually, or paying in-person visits to things. But it is something that we're still actively pursuing and doing. One of the main reasons why we did it was because we wanted to elevate that image, right? Of that dancers are athletes. And guess what? Athletes have access to services and athletes are respected. So, we are attempting to put some infrastructure, and support systems and networks to, help grow, this community. And, at least I can speak for myself when I say it would hurt if I saw a dancer that had the opportunity and potential to flourish and really thrive, but because of limited resources, lack of knowledge, um, that they weren't able to get there. You know, um, and at the end of the day, it's like, we all want to get better, but also we need competition to do that. So, uh, us being around can also kind of help elevate that in that sense. Um, and that's kind of what we're building and what this whole collective is about. So yes, we're still doing it, and that's kind of the beauty of having things like this, is that we're able to connect with people from all over, with similar passions, and hopefully when things kind of are safer for everyone to meet up and get together, we'll even roll up with a bigger team. So yeah, that's our hope.
I wanted to touch. Oh, my bad. Um, I wanted to touch on just the previous question to go forward. I think dance, offset med or dance health at these events, I think a really good way to connect with people is to find out what they need as your approach versus a what I can provide for you approach. Like if you told me you can help me strengthen by doing all the stuff that I don't want to do, I kind of don't care. But if you tell me that if you do these things, I can do a double back on concrete, I'd be like, sign me up. I'm down. Let's do it like tomorrow. Like I'm in it. Like it has to align with not your health goal, but your athletic goal. You know what I mean? If you told LeBron that, oh, you can be dunking at 40 if you just spend $1 billion a year, and he did that. You know what I mean? Because he's worth $1 billion. Like it's it's more of like a carrot system. You know what I mean? That I think that, and you bait them in with the the little massage at the freestyle. Come in, let me do the leg, and then you ask them questions, and then you hit them up later. You know what I mean? Like a dance event is not the time to like pitch your thing because a dancer's mind isn't on that. I'm on what I'm about to do. I'm not trying to like listen to this right now. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to do my leg. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna smoke somebody. Like that's what they're trying to think about. Although it would be really funny to do a subreddit of like PT pickup lines. Like, dude, your alignment right now, bro, I can get that. Like I can get that right. Like it'd be really fun. I would love to see that actually. PT pickup lines at dance events. Super niche. But as far as what I'm doing, I'm actually one of the things I'm kind of started to think about is trying to bring dance back into YouTube. Because the space has changed a lot and dance lives on Instagram and TikTok now. But I feel like that form of dance, it's you like dwindled it down to the most attractive in that space. And it did a thing to dance. It changed dance. because it made it about what the platform was about, right? And I think we went away from a really like a longer form of dance on YouTube that I miss. And it's more than just like doing a constant video. It's like showing like what that life is. And Yak did it for a while, but they kind of went away from it. Red Bull is touching it, but Red Bull's main thing is still Instagram. Like I feel like if we can bring dancers back onto YouTube, there's so much more information culture to share on that space. You know, because everyone's more into long form now on that space. So I don't know. I'm figuring it out. I don't know what I'm doing exactly, but I've definitely like started. So that's been what I'm trying to do. So dancer on YouTube. That's what I'm trying to do right now.
That's dope. That's dope. To continue with that, I think what was it, Doctors for Dancers, where they tried this before everything shut down. They were trying this project to teach an actual warm up and to give to dancers to give to their classes. And I think stuff like that is truly necessary, because that's the one thing I believe I lack the most is a proper warm up for like my classes. And I need to learn how to get into that space, you know, because that's just not, I'm not a technical dancer, even though my shit is hella technical, but you know, my mind is not a technique form. It's just the technique isn't within the expression. So if I could, if you guys could help set up a situation where we can give these proper warm-ups, and if we're doing lower body, you know, fundamentals, and boom, we can work on the lower body. If we're doing upper body or full body, like if you really could help us out with that, man, that's golden.
Already on it. Already on it. But yeah, I just, wow, you know, like you guys just like covered a whole breadth of stuff that I'm sure we could talk for like forever about, really. And I'm super thankful that, you know, just having you guys here to speak. And I think everyone on this call can agree that there's still a lot of work to be done in this field, and with even greater meaning and push and intention behind it. So, you know, we'll continue the conversation, and yeah, it's like never done, but we're gonna work and get ready and keep pushing for this change. So thank you guys for being a part of this, and thank you guys for speaking. So I hope you all have a great, fantastic weekend. If you don't already follow them on, you know, their social media handles, please do. They're amazing performers, and movers. So yeah, go on support. And that's it.
I teach today at 3:30.
Drop into class.
Big shout out to Boogie Frantic. Thank you for helping me with like popping 101 so that I can be better at my adjustments. So thank you.
I just started playing GTA. If you want to see me on them streets, bro, I got the headset.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch, guys.
All right.
Thank
Peace
you.
out. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, y'all.
Oh wait, I was gonna do a shout out. It's okay. Go ahead. Bye.